am Dr. Monica, the M4 Men Message Mission Movement. What am I? The visionary as well as the event planner. And I am here with Luke Greenheart from Portugal. He is one of our speakers. So, welcome, Luke. How are you today?
I am great, and as your audience might hear, I haven't got a Portuguese accent. I am just from south of London, but I've been over here in Europe for several years now. And it's
Okay.
hot, by the way, so that's why I'm in a vest. It's boiling. So hopefully I'm not too sweaty and shiny.
Mhm.
It's been a hot day.
Good.
Thank you for
And
having me.
thank you. And thank you for, for those of us, those who attended the T4 Trials, Triumphs, Truths, and Tears virtual summit, you know that Luke was one of our speakers there and he's returning. However, we have the pleasure of having him live this time because his schedule is allowing it. But when I talk to Luke, I always am amazed by just his sincerity, just his authenticity. But there's a couple points I want to touch on, Luke, with you today. A lot of times we as people in society prejudge people, and we do not understand why people do things. And we automatically just label people. One of the things I've heard you say, and I just want you to elaborate on it just a little bit because you're going to talk more about it during the summit. But I want you to elaborate on this just slightly because I want people to take an inventory of themselves and how they prejudge. You made a statement and you said that you had to steal to eat. Elaborate on that. And I say that because a lot of times we see people stealing to eat sometimes and pass judgment. Share a little bit about your experience.
Okay. Well, like I said, there's so many dramas in my life. From a young age, I come from a city background, near an airport, near a big industrial, about 140,000 people in there. And it's just outside of London and on the way to a nice coastal town. So it's a very hustle bustle. There's a lot of crime. There's a lot of poverty. Just a lot. It's a bit of a messy town, and there's some great bits in it too. Yeah, but that's where I sort of grew up, and that's where like I knew people that steal from when I was younger. There's always stolen goods that pop up everywhere. Someone comes and someone knock on your door, and there'd be like a bag of stolen stuff, and they'll just ask you like, "Do you want this?" And then they would go buy their drugs. You can tell they're on drugs, and there's a normal thing that would happen, and you'd see it all the time. So stealing to me wasn't such a, a new thing to see it. And like from when I was young, I stole a rubber when I was really young, and I got in trouble for that. Um, I mean, my dad wasn't happy. And I didn't mention my dad a lot, but he's been there in my life quite a lot. And yeah, but stealing and judgment, like I said, as part of my story, I went to prison when I was 17 for stealing. So I'd already started a life of crime because I was like, life's hard and I need to find different ways to get things. I done a big robbery and I was a getaway driver because I was like, if I have some more money, I can put that into healthcare for my mum. That was literally what I thought would be a good idea because I was like, how else can I make money? I can't work. I'm looking after her. And I thought the risk is I go to prison and then she's left without me, yeah, which is what happened. But she was then in a mental hospital at that time. So I was like, sort of works. And I'd done like 4 months in prison as a juvenile. But when I came out, I was like, I don't want to steal. I realized I was like, I don't want to steal. I want to work. That was just like me taking a shortcut. And I realized how ineffective it was. And it just caused so many problems. I saw it hurt people. And yeah, you don't really tell that many people because you think they're going to judge you for it. But I didn't think too much about it. I had things to get on with. But when I'd lost everything, I was like, I know how to steal. It's simple for me. So I was like, if I'm going to a shop, but I was stealing food. I was putting steaks and things in my coat and just stealing it because I was going home and cooking it because I needed to eat. And I was just like, well, that's a way I can get food. I can't go out and make money right now, but I need to eat. So I was like, I'd take stuff and just get stuff. Some people knew that I did it. Some friends I just openly tell them like, yeah, just take it, and they wouldn't really say anything. They're just like that because again, some people are just grown up in that world where it's not that strange, But I know to other people, it's a really foreign concept and it could be frowned upon. And like I said, for me, I don't judge anyone or anything. It's not about judgment because if there's a judgment to be had, you're saying is that action good or bad? And the first response someone has is, what about this extreme event? What about if someone murdered someone? So I'm not going to judge them on it. I am going to analyze the event. I'm not going to critique it. I'm going to analyze it. And there's a very big difference for me between being a critic and analyzing. I can look at it and go, right, that person murdered someone. they're unbalanced right now and very destructive to the community. We need to somehow manage that, yeah, without torturing them for being bad. Yeah, they need to be helped uh, in a safe way for the community because they're clearly dangerous to the community. But I wouldn't judge them as a character. I would analyze them and go, oh, so I bet something crazy happened in their childhood for them to become that. Because I see innately that all humans are born as these just loving unconditional species, and life conditions us to be elsewhere. So if anyone's done something horrendous somewhere along the line, there's been a pattern of torture for them, suffering, drama, something. You'd never find someone that's done something horrendous and there hasn't been something that's happened in their life that someone would go, oh, that's going to mess you up when you're older. Do you know what I mean? You'll see things. So for me, you can't judge them on it because it's just like, it's you analyze and go, oh, that's what it is. Oh, that ticks the box. That makes sense to me. And then I look at my own actions and go, am I serving my community, my environment? And within that environment, that includes all the life, the plants, the trees, the animals, anything that comes into my contact. What do I give to the environment I'm in? Whether that's picking something up and cleaning it, whether that's just putting some water down for some plants, feeding some animals. If someone comes in, I treat every person that comes into my presence like they're the most important person in that moment because they're there. I was talking to Danielle the other day and I was like, I try and see every person as God in my presence. And I said, that sounds extreme to someone. I said, but if God turned up right now, I wouldn't get down and kiss his feet. I would just be who I am. That's all. So whenever, but you wouldn't go out your way to be mean or critique, right? I'd just be who I am. And that's just like, I would accept them for who they are in that current state. I'm obviously going to analyze if I feel or see any indication that someone represents a threat or represents, then yeah, I have to analyze that. But I'm not making judgment going, you look like a bad guy. You look dangerous, but you're not a nice guy, da 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 da. You know, and making all these statements where now I'm going to treat you this way because of that. If I see someone go, they look like a bit of a dodgy character. Maybe they're going to try and cause harm, or they're going to steal something. Yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on him. I might have to tell someone, say, like, just keep an eye on that guy. But if he comes over to me, I'm still going to be pleasant to him. You know, and I'm going to try and do the most pleasant exchange I can, even if I had to fight someone. I would try and be pleasant about it. But I would defend myself pleasantly without judging someone. Why do I need to? I can analyze the situation. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. And I wanted you to elaborate on that because there is a reason why everyone does what they do. And we don't know the backstory. And too often, we're not compassionate. We don't take the time to understand, not necessarily to condone, but we're not even trying to solve the problem or help solve the problem. We just want to penalize people for their mistakes. We're not looking to rehabilitate or reform. You know, we want to, I don't know about, you're in Portugal, but, the prison system is big money here. I mean, if you think about all of the things and all the resources that go into keeping a prisoner in prison, keeping people ill and sick, the medications, the hospitals, all of those things. But I thank you for that. And that's why I wanted to elaborate. The second thing I want you to elaborate on is you always talk about self-love, but something you said that really struck me is self-love is not self-care. And a lot of people, a lot of us haven't learned to love ourselves, and we're not taught to love ourselves. We're taught to do everything but that. Describe how you have gotten yourself into loving yourself. What can women learn from men to love themselves more and love men? Because the M4 Summit is for men and women.
So I would start with, like I said, with the difference between self-care and self-love. There are different things. There's supposed different words. But I said, if I choose an example like a dog or a cat, because most people have had them, but people have also seen people that have them and don't treat them nice. But if they provide them food and they provide them a shelter, are they not caring for them? Even if they treat them horribly, talk to them bad, kick them, do whatever they want, but they provide them shelter and food. I would go, well, they're caring for them. They're just not doing the best job. They could do it in a nicer way. They'd get more out of it for them and for the dog, but they're caring for them. And self-care to me can be like that. You can make yourself the best detox smoothie in the world. But really, I was nearly going to swear. I don't really swear, but I was going to say just what they say in America, peeved. It's not like an English word. I was peeved. Never said that before. Yeah, and they make a green shake, but they're so like, oh, it tastes horrible. Da, 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 da. They've got all this going on. They've got such an attitude of bitterness, or there's just nowhere near love. But they're doing an act which is feeding their body, nourishing it, giving it. So they're caring for the body, they're trying to, but they're not loving it.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a love missing there. So like I said, the person with a dog, if you came in and they're like, oh man, he just loves his dog. Look at the way he feeds it. How does that look? What are they doing differently? It's the small gestures, it's the expressions on the face, it's the glances. It's like if your partner, whether it's male or female, you said, what can they do to help them? If you just, how do you show love to them first? For some people, it's just, oh, the way they look at me, I just know they love me. And like I said, then that gets in, how do you look at yourself? Do you know if you love yourself or not? And that's where like the mirror test gets in. Like, can you look in the mirror genuinely and try and get into an honest place, comfortable place, and look and just go, I just love you for who you are right now, here and then, no matter what. I just love you. I'm in love with you. To yourself. Can you say that? And I think I covered when I was doing the talk as well. Like within the love, a lot of people say, oh, you can't, until you've had self-love, you can't love. And that to me, I think that's a form of offensive statement that stops so many people on the path of self-love. Because clearly they have a feeling and affection for other things, children, babies, whatever they've got, their pets, their parents, and their partner. And they're like, I love them. How dare you say that I can't love them? So shut off. That's it. Doors closed. I ain't listening to you anymore. So they miss out on following through any of them steps. So many people I see.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, of course you can love, but you're not going to be able to give the best quality love and it be received effectively from someone else. You have constant problems throughout your life with people that you love because they can't receive your love correctly. That's the big difference for me. It's like they can't receive what you have to offer.
And I'm not gonna make that statement anymore.
Yeah.
I won't make that statement anymore because you're absolutely right. I have often said, you can't give love if you don't love yourself. How you can give love? But you're right. You can give love. You just can't give it fully. So again, even with that statement that you made, we have to be
And
careful.
I'd even change fully though. I just say effectively.
Yes,
We
effective.
always
Okay.
love to be effective.
Effective.
To get,
Correct.
you want to get. If I want to say to you, I love you. I want to make it simple. Make sure you know it's like I love you, and I want you
Yes.
to feel it and know it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And sometimes we have to make the gestures bigger and bigger to really try and show it. Let's put on a big event for someone. Let's make a date night and make it really special because I want them to really feel it.
Correct.
But sometimes it's a glance.
Yes. Yes.
But how effective it is.
Correct.
And it gets more and more effective when you have real, authentic self-love for yourself.
Yes.
So then that gets into the journey. And I said, for the journey of love and self-love, it is a process. And for me, it started with self-love, just putting in regular patterns where I tried to treat myself as if I loved myself, because I was like, noticing there's an issue there, and treat myself that way. It also say, like, when you have to go to a gym or do an exercise or eat food that you know is healthy, but you don't really want to. Rather eat this, I'd rather watch this. But you know what? I'm going to get up, I'm going to go out, I'm going to go for a walk, I'm going to go to a gym, I'm going to go for a swim. I'm going to eat that vegetable over eating them chips. We make these choices that we find there's a little bit of discomfort in our pleasure in that time because we've got a goal, we've got a mission. We're like, no, but in a month, I've done this before and I know it gets easier and I know I start to like this more and I feel better within myself. I've got a little bit slimmer. I feel a little healthier. We see the results. We're prepared to take actions in discomfort for a slightly future goal that we know will give some form of results. So like when we see there's a problem with our self-love, we go, right, I see the problem. I think you said earlier, what's the solution? Actionable steps with repetition, consistency. And like I said, baby steps at first, just putting them in. And it's going to be uncomfortable. You've got to keep going, keep going, keep going. In a month of 3 or 4 practices that are 10 minutes long of just self-love, little things, you'll suddenly see how much it's changing and all the steps. And you look back and you go, like, that was like when I first went to the gym, got on a treadmill, and I was out of breath in 30 seconds. Now I can run for 5 minutes. You see the change and that momentum then kick drives you and you're like, no, this is going somewhere. And then it comes into unconditional self-love. And when you get to that stage, that's where judgment falls in. Because to unconditionally love yourself, you can't have any scrutiny, any judgment, any conditions on yourself. You don't look at your body and go, I absolutely love that body because it looks this way. Oh, isn't it beautiful? You don't care. I just love it for being there. I love it. It's the most, for me, I tell people that my body is the most committed thing to me. It serves me in every single moment and it's committed to me till the body's done. I could technically say lose your mind, say the body's still there.
Yes.
Yeah. Yet how many of us treat the mind to a book? How many of us sit there in terrible posture for way too long and go, oh, my back's aching, but I got to get to the next chapter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Your body's going, please let me get up, let me stretch, let me move, please. And you go, no, I must read. I must do this, I must do that. And the body's just going, oh, I'm so uncomfortable.
Yes.
And it is just, you put your body into some form of pleasantness. You treat your body that way. And like I said, to the mind, it's more about not letting it do so much. You know,
Yes.
it's over dominant for most people. It's overacted. It's overfed in terms of just constant, information, engagement, storing new memories. The amount mind goes through these days is incredible. But if you look around, you see a lot of bodies out there definitely suffering. I do. In what I do, I see it all the time. But when I walk around the streets, you see a lot of people that are physically suffering. If I went to the what's it called, the Sahara, and I was looking at all the animals when they do the big migration across Africa and stuff. I was looking and I saw that all the buffalo were all different shapes. There's anorexic ones, there's ones with ankles hanging over their foot, and there's all this weird shapes going on. And so I'd go, whoa, what's happening to them? I said, there's an issue there. So normally they all look like fairly similar, little bit of shape change, but there's not these huge varying degrees of physical body changes. And when I look out now at people, I'm like, whoa, what's happened to your body?
Yes.
To me, there's no love there. Oh my God. And I'm like, oh, God, what can I do to help?
Yes.
Because I'm
Yes.
not judging them and going, you shouldn't look like that. There's no judgment there.
Correct.
I'm analyzing, I'm looking and going, there's some pain there. There's some experience there. But there's beauty there. There's a life within that that's just waiting to express itself and to live life. And normally they've just not been in a position where they've really loved and lived life.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how can I reach them? What can I say? Can I just smile at them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, imagine someone has smiled at us on a bad day and it just made us feel a little better.
Yes.
I've
Yes.
been at places where I've walked down a road when I was younger. Like I said, I had temper. I was walking down. I was so angry at certain points. I was like, if someone looks at me at the wrong moment, I will take that as an invitation to start something and get in a fight and just take that anger out on someone.
Yes.
Yeah, and instead, someone might walk past and smile at me, and
Mm-hmm.
that just floats away.
Yes.
It's all gone.
Yes.
And
So
it's them
smile
moments.
more. So
Yeah.
we have to smile more. Yeah, well, I thank you so much, Luke, for your time and for sharing. And I hope that what Luke has shared has resonated with you and encourages you as a man and a woman to register for the M4 Men with the Message on a I can miss it.
See,
I
I've
can
been
never.
repeating it.
I'm sorry.
I've been repeating it to people, so I know. I was like, oh, it's about men with a message. Sorry, I had done it wrong. It's men with a mission. So you got your mission, because I was telling Danielle just before this as well. I was like, I've got a mission. So I'm on a mission. And I said, and
Yes.
what's my message for this particular event? And it's like, you take some pressure off your life and live life more beautifully. And you're already here, so you're transforming and you're on that path. And
Yes.
like you said, and then you got your movement.
Yes.
And that to me is the momentum and the drive and the forward. And someone being in it, they're part of a movement already. Movement of growth,
Yes.
movement of love,
Yes.
movement
And
of life.
we have 10 minutes. I mean, excuse me, 10 men who are on this path, and we look forward to having men and women register. And so just go over to drmonicajackson.com/M4 Summit and register today. Thank you.